edition of Pillar to Post here on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. Mike Gill, Tom Morgan with another Pillar to Post for you here. We got a ton to get into here, Morgan. We had Raw last night. We had Elimination Chamber. And we've got a couple of off-the-mat news, as you would say, in the sports world. Off-the-field news, off-the-mat, out-of-the-ring news with some interesting signings. So, we got a lot to get into, man.
It's amazing how wrestling is now every day. We were kids. I mean, it was Monday nights, and then, when Thunder and SmackDown made its way in the late 90s, it was on Mondays and Thursdays.
Right.
So now they got wrestling every day, and we've got all kinds of stuff to cover in the last week.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of start with that because it happened late last week after we had already filmed our show. Ring of Honor is now going to Destination America on Wednesday nights, the same night that TNA is going to be airing. TNA is moving from Friday nights to Wednesday nights from 9 to 11.
Right.
And now Ring of Honor going to be the lead-in for TNA from 8 to 9. So two different companies, two completely separate entities, same night, same chat. I can't think of another time that this has ever happened.
It hasn't, and I'm going to tell you this is perfect because now it's on Wednesday night. I don't remember any time wrestling being on a Wednesday night. And I think it's great for Ring of Honor, too, because you're not going to find these guys on some kind of basic cable channel or whatever anymore. You're going to see them on prime time on a cable channel, and you might as well rename Destination America
Destination Wrestling.
Destination Wrestling, because they've got all kinds of TNA programming that they run outside, of course, on the regular Wednesday nights. So it should be really interesting for Ring of Honor.
Well, this is the interesting part about it, because when they got TNA, they were, it was Friday nights, and then they were running the replay, then they were running the Saturday morning, they were running the Legends, and they've kind of slowly got away from that. And then they made the announcement that they were getting rid of TNA.
Yeah.
In September, there was a report that TNA was losing Destination America. They have an opt-out clause. We talked about it last week on Pillar to Post, that it's the #1 rated show, but they can't get any ad sales.
Right.
So apparently the report from a couple different outlets, Dave Meltzer was one from the Pro Wrestling Insider magazine, that in September, Destination America will use their opt-out clause on TNA. Well, now they sign up with Ring of Honor. They move TNA to Wednesday. Ring of Honor gets 26 episodes as a trial here.
Right.
So I guess they're trying to see if they can double up on the wrestling. You got to wonder, though, Tom, are they going to come together? Is TNA and Ring of Honor going to become one? Are they going to be completely separate entities? I mean, you're going to see promos inside the Ring of Honor. Hey, check out tonight's Best Wrestling. Well, I'm watching the Best Wrestling. It's going to be really weird.
It will be, but I think it will be a perfect lead-in to what TNA needs. The true wrestling fans are really going to be watching Ring of Honor. I mean, that's some fantastic wrestling in that promotion. I think it's going to open up a new fan base, hopefully, and they're going to stick around and watch TNA, which you've said before, has had some great programming. The problem is the marketing. The problem was the channel. The problem was the time.
And the night, Friday night is the Death Zone. Now, you have Ring of Honor, 8 to 9. You have TNA, 9 to 11. And you have NXT. So Wednesday night has now become the night. I mean, Monday Night Raw is all by itself, and Monday night now is, of course, established for Monday Night Raw. But now the next night is Wednesday night. 3 different entities all happening at the same time, really. You got the 8 to 9, 9 to 11, and then you got NXT, which I think is 8 to 9 as well, or 9 to 10.
Oh, yeah.
One of those time slots. So what's your viewing habits? Are you watching DVR? How are you doing this? I mean, can you watch 3 different shows? And you got Lucha Underground was on Wednesday nights as well.
Yeah.
You got 3 different shows, 3 different times. It's going to be crazy, and the competition level just went up.
And the wives out there who aren't into wrestling, and I know you're out there, you're going to be going in the living room like, oh my God, wrestling again? Because it is on every night. And I can't even keep up with it with my schedule. But I'm excited to see Ring of Honor get this next step. It is a great promotion. I love going to it in New York. They had an event right before WrestleMania, which I thought the matches itself, were actually better than the matches at WrestleMania.
They are outstanding.
Edge your seat, outstanding stuff. You really didn't know a whole lot about the storylines, but I didn't really follow Ring of Honor, but I didn't really have to. I could go out and enjoy some solid wrestling. Yeah. Less storyline, more wrestling.
And great performers in there. They've got big names. So does TNA. So now I think Wednesday night has just raised the bar for wrestling. Speaking of Ring of Honor, Tom, one of the big stories is one of their performers, Samoa Joe, we saw him on NXT.
Right.
Well, some news came out last night that he has signed a full-time deal with WWE. And Tom, I'm hearing that one of the reasons is his merchandise, that shirt that he wore, sold out so fast.
Oh, absolutely.
That Vince McMahon and Triple H said, we need to get this guy
on the main roster.
And he will be signed. I don't know if it's NXT or main roster, but he's now going to be a full-time member. Now, he's got a lot of indie dates that he signed up for. Apparently, they're going to let him finish that out. But that's never been done either. A WWE performer signed wrestling in another brand.
Yeah. No, it's going to be exciting. And I think it's going to be exciting to see some fresh faces in the WWE. First of all, with everybody coming up from NXT onto the main roster. Kevin Owens is getting more exposure. He's pretty much already on the main roster now. Now he's got this feud with John Cena. Then you got someone like Samoa Joe that's going to come in. By the way, the NXT title will be on the line on SmackDown this Thursday. It's going to be an open challenge just like the United States Championship. And my prediction, no facts behind this, but my prediction, I would like to see Samoa Joe come in on SmackDown and capture the NXT title. But again, no facts behind that. We don't know if it's going to be someone from the NXT roster or the main roster that's going to come in. I would imagine it would be an NXT roster because it is, after all, the NXT Championship.
Well, and Joe might start out on NXT and then take the belt down there and then stay down there for a little while. We'll see. But
do his indie dates and then come back on the main roster.
Keep in mind, Tom, did this all happen because Sami Zayn got hurt? Was Sami Zayn supposed to be the guy that fights Cena? And did he get hurt and Owens kind of take his spot?
Yeah, I think Kevin Owens is the perfect guy. He's the perfect villain. I don't mean to make any kind of comparisons to CM Punk because he's one of my favorite characters, but he has that CM Punk atmosphere around him, and that's exactly what the WWE needed. Some sort of little bit of attitude, a little bit of taste to that.
Well, and he's a Ring of Honor guy. He was Kevin Steen in Ring of Honor. You're starting to see a lot of Ring of Honor guys make the jump. You know, you got Kevin Steen, you had Samoa Joe, you had also CM Punk. A lot of these guys have made the run up. Daniel Bryan have made the jump from Ring of Honor up, and now they're becoming the stars right now. So that's more big news. Other stuff, we got John Cena and Kevin Owens going to fight at Money in the Bank now. Owens, clean pin in the middle of the ring. So Cena, by the way, who's doing some of his best work right now, 15-time champion. He's wearing the United States title, and he's probably wrestling some of his best matches right now. But he takes the clean pin in the middle of the ring, and now they're going to go at it again at Money in the Bank. Any chance Owens wins this again?
I don't think so. I think Cena... Now, if the United States Championship is on the line, which could happen, I could see Owens winning the title, especially if he loses the NXT title on SmackDown to whoever challenges him. But I think Cena will win this one. You're going to continue this feud maybe into SummerSlam. I mean, it's surprising to say. I would think Cena would get someone bigger, but this Kevin Owens thing, man, it's getting hot. And I love this. Is a perfect debut.
Great promo by both of them last night.
I haven't had that kind of goosebumps in a long time.
Although Steve Austin had maybe the promo of the night last night on the WWE Network. If you didn't see that, and I'm sure you didn't, that podcast promo he cut on Heyman last night, I thought he was going to kick Heyman's ass.
I read a lot about it.
In the middle of the podcast. It was great.
Yeah, I read a lot about it, and I'm definitely going to be watching it today.
Oh, man.
But I heard it was unbelievable, and of course, that's way past my bedtime.
He was steaming, and it might have set up. I mean, some people were speculating.
Austin Lesnar match.
At WrestleMania 32.
And boy, would that be something. Now, we haven't seen Austin in the ring in a really long time. For him to wrestle someone like Brock Lesnar would be crazy. But yeah, never say never in this business. I can't wait to watch it later. I get up at 3 in the morning every day, so yeah, I had to miss this one.
I would not
watch it today.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. You had yesterday the Austin podcast where he kind of speculated that he and Brock could do something, whatever you think. You had Hogan yesterday on SportsCenter come out and say that he wants to wrestle a retirement match.
He's been saying that for a really long time.
But yesterday was the first time he really said, look, I told Vince if I can get cleared, if I can do it, if I can do it one more match, they need to fit 100 and some thousand people in that stadium.
It's going to be interesting.
If you run the card out that you did last year, you're not. They didn't sell out the Levi Stadium.
No.
If you run out the same card, you're not getting it done. You need something bigger.
And this is one of the greatest football arenas in the country. You're talking about AT&T Stadium, Cowboys' new stadium. So
you're talking Austin, possibly Hogan. I would assume The Rock's got to be in there as well. Brock Lesnar. Undertaker,
right,
Sting.
Yeah.
Who else can they find? They got to get bodies in that stadium.
And it's funny, you also mentioned about Hogan having one last match, and I'm laughing about this, but Kevin Nash also was on Twitter saying he wants one last retirement match. So you never know when to quit with wrestling. And Kevin Nash, he looked okay,
He needs to do something about his hair, though.
He does. Well, if Vince has anything to do with Kevin Nash wrestling one more time, he's definitely going to dye the hair and he's going to grow it out. But hey, why not? The more the merrier. But at the same time, I love that there's so many dream superstars. I wish some of these superstars would have these dream matches 10 years ago. Like, for example, Sting wrestling The Undertaker. I don't want it to steal the thunder from any of these guys who are getting their first WrestleMania taste. Guys like Kevin Owens are going to get their first WrestleMania. Samoa Joe's going to get his first WrestleMania. So, but at the same time, it's really neat if Austin is in shape and he's able to wrestle, and he's been saying he's in the best shape of his life.
He's in shape.
He says he's in the best shape of his life. So maybe we'll see how he's doing in the in-ring rust there.
He told Heyman, if I fought Lesnar, I'd whip his ass.
I can't wait to watch this later. This is great stuff.
All right, Elimination Chamber. Let's just quickly.
Yeah.
It was a little, special. You had to have the network to watch it. 2 weeks after Payback, you get Elimination Chamber. Now you got Money in the Bank 2 weeks later. They gave you a free pay-per-view on the network here. And I thought for something that was just kind of thrown together, it wasn't a star-studded card. It was a good card, but no Reigns on the card. So you had one of your top guys not performing, and some of the other top guys didn't perform. I thought it was pretty good. They had the tag match, had a lot of action in it. I thought the Intercontinental was a little, Sheamus was stuck in the chamber. He couldn't get out. And
very interesting. Was that real or fake?
I don't know. Henry's pod opened up and it wasn't supposed to. But in the end, Ryback wins it. And now Ryback's your Intercontinental champion. How about where he fell? He was up to the top, where he fell, and he has slowly climbed. He's got rid of the Goldberg chance for the most part.
Right.
And now he's your IC champion. It looks like on Raw last night, he starts a feud with the Big Show.
And he's fitting really well with the PG-rated show because he's all about the anti-bully stuff. He's taking down bullies left and right. Now you got the ultimate bully and the Big Show coming in. And I think the Ryback Big Show feud is going to be great on all different levels. The question will be, will the matches be any good? Because you've got two fairly slower guys. Ryback and Big Show. But I think it'd be great for someone like the Big Show to go for a title, and we got something new carrying a belt for a change. I was really worried we'd see Sheamus win the Intercontinental title, but they're building Sheamus up a little bit more as a heel. I think that's great. And
he'll be in the ladder match.
He'll be in the ladder match, and he might win the Money in the Bank.
Which Kofi Kingston's going to be in that too, and they won the tag title. So would you see Kofi Kingston carry the briefcase? They're kind of aligning themselves, it looks like, with the Authority a little bit. So that whole New Day thing is really catching steam. And we had Big E on the show right when they got big.
Yeah, and it was so funny when we had him on the show, which you can watch again on our previous footage on the 973 YouTube channel here. He was talking about how they're going to get all three of those guys in that pod. And it was so ironic that they were complaining to Kane about having all three of those guys in that pod. So here on Pillar to Post, he kind of gave us a little taste of what was going to happen in Elimination Chamber.
We also saw Nikki win back the Divas Championship.
No surprise there. Yeah, but Paige is definitely in line to go against your girl Paige for that title, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we saw them on Raw last night, and then, of course, we talked about the Cena-Owens match, which was a great match, by the way.
Oh, definitely.
The moves that Owens, for a guy at his size, can pull off. Oh, my God, off the top rope, he does that, what a spinning suplex or whatever the heck that thing was. He is so agile for a big man, and I'll tell you what, he's fun to watch, and he's a great, cocky character. He's got arrogance.
He's perfect.
He's great. And then the Rollins, we had the Dusty Rhodes finish with the ref bump, and the champion, the announcement that he wins, but he won on disqualification, but he got the belt and he runs off. So Dusty Rhodes was probably sitting back there saying, "Yeah, I know what you guys are doing.
I know what y'all doing." Nothing changes in the WWE recycling store.
But they could do it there.
But they could,
You can't do it like down the line or whatever. That was a great time to do it because Ambrose now didn't lose. He stays, in the main event picture. He's still and he's over. He's hot now.
He's hot right now, and we'll have to see what happens. I'm interested to see what happens with Roman Reigns now too, because he's really involved with the story.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think you can see the breadcrumbs laying on the ground for a Reigns turn.
Reigns' turn or a triple threat match of Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns.
That might be the moneymaker to get
be.
the Shield back together. But I think, man, I'm feeling a Reigns turn here. Him and Ambrose seem like they're too buddy all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Reigns is kind of left in the back or drop now.
Sure.
I feel like there's a turn coming.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be, Reigns was a good heel. And, right now he's still kind of coming off that. Too soon at WrestleMania, people were booing him winning the Royal Rumble, so we'll just have to wait and see and see what happens. Monday Night Raw last night, of course, we talked about Roman Reigns, and they talked about all the controversy behind the WWE Championship, and Triple H issues the fact that he must win his next match in order to stay in the Money in Bank ladder match. Turned out to be 3 different matches. His next 3. At first, it was one match, then another match, then another match. But Roman Reigns versus King Barrett. Not a bad match.
No, it wasn't. But, I was surprised Barrett, I think, was the first person pinned in the Intercontinental. He was either first or second. He went out pretty quickly in that match. So I was a little surprised by that. And it was a decent match last night. We've been talking about that. What is the king? What does it get you? Where does it go?
Yeah.
I mean, does it just one day he's not King Barrett anymore? Does somebody beat him and become the king?
Yeah.
I think they really muddled his character with the king thing. And then they knocked him out of the Intercontinental thing pretty quickly. So I don't know what Barrett, what his role really is right now. If he's a mid-card guy, is he just falling into...
Kind of goes up and down.
Yeah, he's in a weird spot.
All right, so then we move on. Intercontinental title match, The Miz versus Ryback, but then the Big Show. We was filming the Marine,
Out of nowhere, The Miz suffered Intercontinental
Miz is back. All right, let's put him up there. But that never happened because the Big Show came out, knocked out The Miz, and if anybody's going to beat Ryback for the Intercontinental title, it will be the Big Show.
That's right, and that was him coming back to television. So Miz comes back for 5 minutes, gets knocked out, and the Big Show, as we mentioned, that match is it might not be the best match, but sometimes the Big Show, when he wrestled, who was it? Was it Big Show and Reigns had a match at a pay-per-view recently? Mm-hmm. Right. They put on a pretty decent show, so we'll see. Maybe Ryback, who has improved a lot, can give us something pretty good.
Should be really interesting. Now we just had heard that Reigns was going to fight Mark Henry as the second match. I guess we're going to get another heel turn with Mark Henry again. It's face heel with this guy.
I mean, he's been off the TV for a while, and he filled in for Rusev in the pod for Elimination Chamber in the Intercontinental. So he just came out of nowhere. Now he seems like he's playing that role of the veteran, get you over kind of guy. Like if you beat him, you beat and legitimize, beating somebody.
The strongest man in the world.
It's also the guy that you opened your mouth. All right, you just got a match, and that match is next, and it's going to be somebody going to get their ass kicked. It's like,
it's
baby. I got to fight Mark Henry.
Damn it. And then we have Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston. Again, the New Day coming in. Dolph Ziggler, of course, wins.
Which turned into a tag match.
It turned into and it was the New Day and Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. New Day versus Darren Young, Titus O'Neil, and Dolph Ziggler.
The primetime players came out to help Ziggler, and then they announced this has now turned into a 6-man tag match. Which with the New Day with the 3, you got to do stuff like that. But the primetime players, they went from together, then broken up, and then kind of low, and now it seems like they're giving them a little bit of a push.
Well, they're looking better. They're wrestling a lot better, and hopefully that will continue to build up. Because I had a lot of excitement with these guys when they first got brought on, and then because they had the size, and then you had the small guy and Darren Young, coming in, and Titus O'Neil and his size, but.
And Darren got hurt, and then Titus went down to NXT.
Titus went to NXT, yeah. So we'll see what happens. And then, of course, we saw Roman Reigns versus Mark Henry. Winner by countout, Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I mean, they just figured, I guess.
Yeah.
And like we said, it was just one of those matches to kind of... It was a credible opponent, but you knew wasn't going to win the match.
Exactly. Divas title, Paige versus Nikki Bella. We talked about that earlier. Nikki Bella, of course.
Well, they pulled off a little twin magic there, which it's really hard to do that because they don't look alike anymore in a couple of areas. But Brie comes in from under the mat. She, rolls her up and wins. But, that's all setting up Paige and Nikki for Money in the Bank, probably. And right now, it's interesting that Nikki has had the title for so long. Are they trying to make her carry it long enough to knock out AJ Lee's title run so that, all ties are kind of out?
I hope not.
Nikki is like the anti-AJ, so it's like we're going to have her carry the belt because you were the girl she was the girl you hated the most.
Right, and of course they love that Total Diva show on E, which does well in the ratings. They're just coming back, so maybe they're doing that to kind of get that ready and promoted. All right, Randy Orton versus Sheamus, kind of a random match here.
It was, and Randy Orton versus Sheamus, I guess, sets up because both those guys are going to be in the Money in the Bank.
Right. All right, and Randy Orton, of course, wins by disqualification. We saw Rusev backstage on crutches, saying no woman, no title. He's just a broken man and a broken ankle and a broken spirit.
It was weird because he had this, I'm a broken man. And then he got like angry. I don't know. I think they're making a mistake separating those two. Now she's with Dolph. Is she setting up a turn on Dolph, or are they setting her up to be something different? We've heard a lot of speculation, but I don't know that Rusev works all that well by himself.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens. But he is legitimately hurt, so he's got some time to think about it.
Broken ankle.
Bo Dallas versus Neville.
And Neville won the match, and these two had a great feud in NXT. Dallas was the NXT champion. Mm-hmm. Neville beat him, and then Bo went to the main roster, and he hasn't done anything since he's been up here. He got hurt. He had that run-in with Sting, and then we never saw him again. But he's a pretty decent performer.
He is.
But Neville is also in the Money in the Bank match now, so they're pushing him right to that. I hate how they say the new sensation when they introduce him. And how long is he the new sensation?
The new sensation. Well, because he's not going to be new, but so much longer. And new sensation kind of sounds like it's 1985. Yeah, it really does.
There it is.
Yep, there's our truth again. And by the way, Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. What are they doing with Bray Wyatt, by the way?
That's a good question. Yeah. I was thinking that last night. Like, here's this guy. They keep really forcing the new face of fear. He's not the new face of fear. No. He's just a guy who, quite frankly, I think has underperformed expectations in terms of, I think people like him. He's over as something. I don't know what that something is. Is he a villain? Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? What is he?
Right.
Does he win a lot? Does he lose? I don't feel like there's any discernible wins and losses for him. I just think he just wrestles matches. He hasn't had the impact I thought he would.
And, and again, this is not based on any kind of fact at all, but I thought about the other day about WrestleMania and what kind of card I would predict to see. If Hogan was to wrestle one more match, I could see a Hogan versus Bray Wyatt thing. I mean, he had that thing with John Cena against Bray Wyatt for a little while, a couple of years back when Cena was feuding with Bray Wyatt. Maybe something like that. Or Hogan versus Cena would be something else to see. But regardless, Bray Wyatt is still wrestling whatever matches. Roman Reigns, of course, wins. He's still in the Money in the Bank match. Authority comes in, blah, blah, blah. Ambrose comes out of nowhere with the championship on the announcer table, and they take clean house, and Ambrose runs away with the championship.
Yep, and that's kind of how it ended last night. Decent show, wasn't great. Ambrose and Reigns kind of looking, like I said, I feel like there's going to be a turn coming. Yeah. But you got the announcement for Reigns and Ambrose at Money in the Bank. You got this six-man ladder match, and they're saying that more could be added. So I think that's an interesting.
And that's really interesting too. Like, how much more could you add before it gets chaotic?
Ziggler's in it,
right? Kofi's in it.
Reigns is in it. Sheamus and Reigns. Neville. And is there one more? Orton? Is Orton in it?
Maybe Orton. Yeah, Orton's in it. Yeah, so you got 6 guys right there. So, Bray Wyatt maybe could be added.
Kevin Owens. Owens is fighting.
John Cena.
Sorry. Samoa Joe.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar. He's not coming back till late June.
Yeah, I think that he's not coming back until a little bit later on.
All right. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Money in the Bank ladder match.
CM Punk? No.
Yeah, right. Let's start that feud again on the internet throwing babies there. All right, so Money in the Bank is beginning in
2 weeks.
2 weeks, so it should be a lot of fun. So
yeah, and by the way, Daniel Bryan handed the belt. I thought that was a little bit of a tell.
Yeah.
That Ryback was going to win that match, by the way. Because when they announced in the pre-show that Daniel Bryan was going to hand the title over to the new winner.
Right.
I kind of found it hard to believe he was going to hand the belt to like Barrett or Sheamus. So at that point I was like, I wonder if that sets up that one of the baby faces is going to win this match.
Yeah, and no one's going to try to, clothesline him after handing someone a title because of his neck issues. He's not going to take anything. So,
yeah. He wanted it to be a nicer moment.
It would be
hey, congratulations. Right. Just like he did. Hey, is he worthy of this? Yes.
Right, yeah. All right, well, a decent Raw.
It's okay. And like you said, I'm looking forward to what happens on NXT now Wednesday. What are they going to do with Kevin Owens on NXT tomorrow night? And what are they going to do with Samoa Joe?
Right.
What is the next step for a guy like Finn Balor? You have so many storylines that are now crossing over because you're going to see, as you mentioned, Owens on Thursday Night SmackDown.
Yep.
And he's putting the NXT belt on the line on a SmackDown show. So you're starting to see that. So I think Wednesday night now for NXT, this Wednesday is a must-see show.
And it's exclusively on the WWE Network, which you can get for free for the month of June.
And my WWE Network pick of the week was the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast last night.
I can't wait to watch it.
That was great with Heyman. And I also watched, I'll give you another bonus one for this week, and it was Mick Foley's Cheap Pops I watched, which was pretty funny. I mean, he doesn't do stand-up, but he just tells funny stories about his career, and he kind of mocks himself a little bit. And it was worth, put it this way, it was worth the watch. If you're sitting around on a rainy Saturday afternoon, you just pop the network on, put on Cheap Pops, it was worth it. And, this is going to be interesting because with NXT now on Wednesday, NXT going up against TNA and Ring of Honor, is the network, going to be losing not subscribers but viewers on Wednesday nights? Like, are you going to watch Ring of Honor live and not NXT? Watch NXT later on.
Right.
You're going to watch Ring of Honor into TNA now. I mean, I think Wednesday night has really become
very strategic move on Destination America's part. Because NXT is really starting to build up a little bit, and the same audience that essentially watches NXT on the WWE Network is watching Ring of Honor, because these are guys. A lot of them are up and comers. And they're true wrestling fans that watch everything. So should be a lot of fun. Should be really interesting. And so Pillar to Post, we done?
I think we touched on just about
all. That's a lot.
Yeah, we had a lot of stuff. And if anything else happens or breaks, you never know. Special editions. We've had people reach out to us that want to be guests on the show. So if there's someone that you would like us to try to reach out to, let us know. But we got plenty more to still come in the summer months leading into SummerSlam, the number 2 pay-per-view. Are they called pay-per-view still? I don't know. I don't know what they're calling them.
As long as you can still order it on Xfinity, I guess you could still call it technically a pay-per-view.
Use the hashtag Pillar2Post. He's Tom. I'm Mike. This has been Pillar to Post on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel.